Welcome back to another Pickled Unscripted. I have with me, as always, the gullible, the infuriating, the talented Matt the Pickled Dragon.
Yes, I surrender. I fully take responsibility for my actions.
Oh no. So today we are very angry with Matt, and we're about to tell you why. But before I tell you why, Matt, what are you drinking?
I'm drowning my sorrows in Glenmorangie.
That's good. That's good. I think that's a really good whiskey to pick. And per my usual Friday night, had a little bit too much fun, so I'm sticking with tea this afternoon.
Hydrate.
Hydrate. Yes, it's important. So today we are very upset with Matt the Pickled Dragon because one of our viewers told us that we could not have an opinion on the Rings of Power unless we were to watch all of it the whole way through. And that does make sense. I hear ya. And so Matt, being the wonderful, brilliant man that he is, said, "Okay, bet."
I think my
And then
exact words were challenge accepted.
yeah. And then he dragged me down to hell with him.
You know, we I thought that we could just binge our way through it.
No.
No, like there's not enough alcohol on the planet to get us through the Rings of Power seasons one and two.
No. And to be fair, I watched almost all of season one. I didn't watch any of season two because by the last couple of episodes of season one, it was just such a waste of my time the first go round. And so when Matt told me that we now had to watch it again, there
Sorry,
are hours of my life I will not get back now.
sorry. Or needless to say, we threw in the towel. Like we we are not going to get to season two. We're just going to pretend it never happened.
It was
Um,
so
we
bad.
still have an opinion because
Ugh,
because if because if we have to feel the pain,
so do you.
so do you. But the good news is I promise you there will be no clips. We won't show you any clips, but we do have a presentation for you
We do.
because because it's mm, for better or worse, Peter Jackson made six films, three of which are masterpieces, three of which are divisive. Some people don't like the Hobbit series. I like it. I got to admit I liked it, but my wife loves it.
Really? You liked the Hobbit series?
I I I enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I don't put it on like it's not on the same pedestal with Lord of the Rings.
Not even a little bit. I
No, it's
mean,
not.
I'll admit I didn't hate it. I did not love it. Would I rewatch it? I mean, if somebody else really wanted to, sure. But would I rewatch it on my own like I do every Thanksgiving with the Lord of the Rings trilogy? No, not at all.
Yeah, but when it came to Rings of Power, like I get that showrunners and directors, like if they're making something new or remaking something, and it's very clear that these showrunners wanted to wanted to separate themselves from Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
But their departures to me were so stark. I had a really hard time getting past some of the choices they made in casting. Like I said, Peter Jackson, for better or worse, made six films that kind of set the bar for how elves look. You know, like let me just share something real quick because it's important. It's important that we share. All right. So we have Thranduil, Elrond, but you could run through all of the actors they chose to play elves, and they all have these slender features, narrow faces.
Well, that's the way they're described. Yeah, they're they're meant to be very elegant, very sleek, almost slightly alien-like because they're thin, slender, and tall. You know what I mean?
And they're certainly not anything like they're certainly not anything like what men or dwarves look like, right?
Right. No, not at
And
all.
I'm not suggesting that Rings of Power the dwarves resemble anybody, but I got to tell you, I got to tell you, I got a problem with the elves in Rings of Power. Like when I take a look at these two guys, their chins look like they visit the dwarves for tune-ups because they're so chiseled. Like these chiseled features, and it's that they have this big hair. The hair is, to me, is something that I really struggle with, because
Oh.
yeah, you have something you want to jump in on that.
Oh my God. Okay, so Matt knows I'm a really big, I mean, hair is like I get hair, and their hair made no sense to me. It was very big, it was very poofy. Also, I absolutely could not freaking stand how the entire show no one seemed to own a hairbrush. Like it seems like hairbrushes were specifically meant for the elves and the elves alone. Because you go to the hobbits, the half-foots, and it not only does it look like they have not had a hairbrush, it looks like they're deliberately weaving like bird shit into their hair. It is matted and disgusting. It looks like they don't bathe. I am concerned for them, like hygiene wise, I'm concerned for them. And then you go on to the dwarves. Okay, listen, dwarves are not like they're not elves, sure, and they're going to be a little bit more gritty. They're going to be a little bit more hardworking. They've got the minds. That doesn't mean that they don't take care of themselves. It doesn't mean that their beards and their hair just needs to be like this outrageous mess. Like, have a freaking hairbrush, man. It just, ugh.
Well, the dwarves have these sculpted braided beards, and then this hair that's like exploding off of their head. It,
Make any sense?
but but one of the things that it occurred to me though, because if you take that Elrond actor on the right with the big hair, and you put this hair on him, the Elrond actor on the left's hair on him, it's gonna look weird because these giant melons on these actors they cast, just it won't fit because their heads are so broad and big that the more plastered straight haired look, it's just not going to work. There are people that like photoshopped long hair on these elves because it was bothering them, but they still left the big hair on top because they had to, because of those giant
So
craniums.
big. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like that still looks better. This like long, this is more elf-like hair. This is what elves are. Sorry.
um, then and I take a look at this guy and I think to myself, there is one place where this hair fits. And some people might disagree with me, but I immediately, like when I saw this hair, the first thing that came to mind was John Travolta in Night Fever, like Saturday Night Fever and all those great movies. Uh, like him like primping his hair. This is how I envision the elves every morning getting up and like getting all kinds of product in their hair and making it real big and poofing it out. And so I thought it would be hilarious if we remade Saturday Night Fever with Elrond. Put Elrond in there, and he's like doing his thing with his elf giant head, giant
Why
hair.
not?
Yeah, for sure. Uh, but uh, it's annoying to me that we have just this much of a departure was just like a bridge too far for me. And again, I get that showrunners want to do something different, but this was not it. Like this was
No.
not it.
And then I also had mentioned when we were watching it, like if they just took like a curly wig and put it on the elves could be hobbits.
You're right. They look like the Hobbit. Like their faces are shaped like how I would envision a Hobbit, right?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It's a good call, big curly wig, you know? Yeah. And then there was another thing, Galadriel. And much has been said about Galadriel, but I kept the thing that every time I saw this actress, I thought she's got to be related to the Eowyn actress. Like I kept seeing a woman of Rohan,
They do
um,
look very much alike.
and so she struck me as more of like a character like out of Rohan. And so again, I like you want your immersion to like really take you places. And I know there's been all kinds of comparisons between the actress there on the left and Kate Blanchett's Galadriel. But to me, the thing that I had a biggest problem with was that I just kept thinking Rohan. I did not ever once think that's an elf. I kept thinking
No.
Shield Maiden, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and then like the casting aside, the writing was so bad.
So
I
bad.
mean,
Oh my God.
like oh well, and one other thing I wanted to point out too was when Tolkien described the elves, when rewinding a little bit here, he said, "Oh, they have timeless faces, neither old nor young. They, no wrinkles." And then you get this Kellen Brimbor guy who looks like he's about to collect his gold watch for retirement from his
Yeah, he didn't
insurance
make any
business.
sense to me. Like, why did you have this actor that looked like that when, you got Elrond in Lord of the Rings that's supposed to be at this point, what is he supposed to be, like 6,000 years old? I mean, and he wasn't even aging. So it doesn't make sense. It does
Yeah,
not make sense.
yeah. I mean, it just again, it breaks immersion for me to like that does not say Lord of the Rings elf to me at all.
He
At
looks
all.
like a hobbit to me.
A hobbit, yeah, he needs to have a pint of something in his hands, and be complaining about the weed from the South Farthing being substandard this year.
Yes, exactly.
So anyway, back to the writing. The writing was just bad, and what they successfully did to me is they made Middle Earth feel small.
They did.
Um, like
Unless you're talking about the swimming in the ocean.
well, that's yes. So that's one. Like we
We'll get
got
to that.
we got Galadriel who sails into the west. However many hundreds of miles to the west, getting ready to go to Valinor, and then has a change of heart and decides I'm going to swim all the way back to Middle Earth. Uh,
Hundreds of miles.
yeah, and like I got this dagger I took from my brother, which vanishes. I can only presume it went into a prison wallet. Like the dagger vanishes for the whole that you
Like,
see.
listen, writers, if you guys really wanted her to have this dagger and it was that important, why did you put her in the most white see-through nightgown that you could possibly have come up with? Like, come on.
They wanted like a sexy scene, I think, is what they did. You know what I mean? Like, because she comes out of the water, it's clinging to her. I think that's what they were going for.
Well, yeah, no, I'm getting that. We all want that, but
But
it doesn't make
there's no
sense.
dagger to be seen until she needs it.
Yes, then where is the dagger? You can't have both, or you can, but then you got to make it feasible. Give her a belt or something, you know?
So she swims hundreds of miles until she's picked up, right? Um, and she gets like a few slurps of water, pretending to be so thirsty, but
Which was bad, really
and she
bad.
but she still has all the energy she needs to fight a giant worm in the water or whatever.
Yep, and chat up this other cute guy,
You know,
which at least he had nice hair.
he did have nice hair. And the next thing that bothered me, what that really made Middle Earth feel small, is that you have Elrond here, he goes from Linden all the way to Eregion, and that's hundreds of miles. But he's got like the same outfit on. He just is there. Like there's no
They
talk.
literally like in the scene, and then they do this little cute little animation where it's like boop 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 across the map, and it's hundreds of miles, and then boop, they're just there. And I'm like, Galadriel, you're in the ocean swimming for hundreds of miles. Why don't you just use your elven powers of teleportation to get you there?
He is. I just
So
I hate that.
bad.
Like there is an opportunity at least to have like a montage of rolling hills and stuff. Like show me Middle Earth, show me this vast expanse of land. The
Mhm.
west of Middle Earth. It'd been cool. But then you have these two. They decide they go to. He comes to Reggiana and he's like, Kellen Brimbor, my man, let's go get the dwarves to help with this project, right? So it's like 60 miles. I actually checked on these numbers, by the way. It's like 60 miles from where they are to Khazad-dûm. Okay. That's how they leave right there. That is
Hey, what
how
are you
they leave.
doing?
What's going on? The
He's fine.
the Zuko is
He's got
acting.
some opinions about Middle Earth too.
Yes,
Let
he's
me tell
upset
you.
about Middle Earth. But so these two leave Reggion dressed like that, looking like that. He hasn't changed clothes in weeks, presumably, and he still looks like his hair's perfect.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Again, the only magical hairbrush in the entire show.
Yes. So this is how they arrive 60 miles later at Khazad-dûm. Exact same clothes, not a wrinkle in their elvish togas that they're wearing, other than the draping going on. Not a hair out of place. Again, it makes Middle Earth feel small.
Yeah.
Um, it just doesn't feel right, you know. And I I feel like that the writers have, in general, rushed the story. They glossed over character development. They crammed as many characters in as fast as possible, rather than letting it like we had the celestial hobo falling from the sky. You had,
Well, one thing that I really didn't like with the writing was actually the half foot specifically. I just, it didn't make sense. So you just have this one hobbit who, for no reason, wants all these incredible like adventures, which, like I get what they were trying to do, but it didn't make sense the way that they were writing her character. And then you have all these cute little quips between her and her best pal. And it's like, all right, but they weren't funny, they weren't clever, and it was also very awkward with the timing. Like you had the fireflies dying, and then they're like her little girlfriend is like making jokes, and it didn't make sense. These little quips, I think they were trying to serve it as comic relief, but I
initially,
don't
yeah.
they didn't go about it the right way, and it wasn't clever.
And that opening scene where they show the Harfoot village, where like suddenly these ghillie suits of nets were being lifted and people were marching out with baskets of food, and it was like all choreographed, almost like a dance routine. Like it
Yeah.
felt like I was watching Hook with the Lost Boys, uh,
Yeah.
that old movie with.
Except I'm pretty sure the Lost Boys bathed more than these things.
Yeah, I that old Robin Williams movie. It was supposed to be like lighthearted and whimsical, and maybe that's what they were going for, but it was so choreographed it felt fake.
Yeah, and
It felt fake.
it didn't fit with the rest. It just felt like they had three different writers that were writing for all the different like species in Middle Earth, and then once a week they would get together and just kind of like figure out a way to mesh it together, and it didn't work.
Yeah, it did not work. And honestly, we could go on and on and on about
We're
what.
not going to because this is a waste of our life. And we've already spent way too many hours of our life watching this damn show. I'm more than Matt. And I've at least watched most of season one and a fair amount of clips from season two. So,
So the theme here is that we surrender.
Yeah, we're
But if
done.
we're not, we got one more thing that we want, at least one more thing I want to say, and that is Finrod. I saw this character. They unveiled this character, and I thought, I know that guy. He used to like be a musician, didn't he? And the first thing that came to mind was Rick Astley, you know, and this dude, I I just couldn't get past it. Like Rings of Power. I might be aging myself here, but I think Rings of Power is like one big Rick roll, like it's one big Finrod roll. So that's kind of where I am with this. I can't watch another episode. I just can't do it. I'm sorry,
Right.
I surrender, but I
Yeah.
reserve the right because I suffered to completely bag on this show as much as I want. I'm sorry.
Long live America.
Woohoo, America. All right. Well, guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video. Like shares go a long way to getting eyes on prize, and check out our store tab because we're adding more shirts as we speak.
Yeah.
The the
Halloween
OAO revolution has begun. The orcs against orcs with an X.
and Halloween's coming out, and we've got a really cool Halloween shirt that I helped put together, and I really liked it.
You
So
did a good job.
thanks. Well, it was mostly you, but yeah.
Well, we all know that you're the brains behind the operation.
Oh, Matt. All
Hey,
right. All right. We forgive you. Fine.
all right, I'm out of the doghouse.
Guys, come back and have another round on us.
Woo!